But the one thing that today brought, besides a good day with my family, with loved ones, I ate a lot of food and I am suffering through it right now. But what the Christmas day brought to us today was an incredible NBA slate. I wish I could say the same for the NFL. Got a great Beyonce performance there. But an incredible Knicks win, one that has to leave you with a awesome taste in your mouth, like all the tasty fixings of Christmas and all the sweets that you had. Not only do the Knicks win, they overcome a historic performance from Victor Wembanyama on his, and I'm sure I just butchered that, on his Christmas Day debut. A big win. Not only do the Knicks win, a player that Knicks fans often crush and often blame for a perceived struggle, even though they're 10 games over 500. Early on this year, Mikal Bridges goes out, has a spectacular day, a 41-point performance, hit multiple key shots, came up with big stops, and I cannot say enough that what I saw today, which is still an incomplete Knicks team, is what I envisioned when they made that trade. I am a glass half full Knicks fan. When it comes to the season, and the NBA season specifically, when you get these teams that are, a lot of changing parts, a lot of big changing parts, you often see struggle early on. And I have not seen a struggle that is concerning at all this season. Bad losses happen. Every team in the NBA, outside of maybe the Cavs, have had bad losses this year. And Mikal Bridges, for a lot of the times where the Knicks struggled defensively early on, where a lot of the times the Knicks would have some of these bad losses, it felt Bridges was blamed. A lot of the time, unfairly blamed. And today, he showed you the player that he is. He showed you that on any given night, he could go off and carry you to a major victory. It was about 6 minutes left of the fourth quarter. I think the Knicks went down 8. Wembanyama hit a 3 with a hand in his face. And at that point, I was thinking, this game is over. This guy is a soul crusher. He is an alien. He is impossible to cover. He's 1,000,000 feet tall. He handles the ball like a point guard. He might be the best interior defender. It doesn't matter if it's skills or not. He is just the best interior defender in the NBA while also being an elite, can come out to the arc and be an elite point of attack stopper. So I'm sitting there thinking, this game is over. And then repeatedly, Mikal Bridges comes down and it's big shot after big shot, and other guys contributed. Everyone contributed today. Everybody. Campaign played 4 minutes, so outside of Campaign. And I sat there, Miles McBride, huge minutes. Precious Achiuwa, huge minutes. Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns doing their thing as always. Brunson, almost a triple-double. 29 assists, 7 rebounds. Awesome game. Karl-Anthony Towns, I think he missed out by 1 rebound on his 19th consecutive double-double. But the star of the day was Bridges. He was hitting his corners threes. He has that turnaround fadeaway in the paint, or not in the paint, but in the mid-range that has become lethal over the last 2 weeks, and something we've seen with the Nets and the Suns, him do before. And I sit here and I think, if this team plays like they did today, meaning offensively they're in rhythm the way they are, and defensively everyone's doing their job, it is tough for me to think that there are many teams better than them. And without a complete team, because we still have not gotten Mitchell Robinson yet, we are still working guys in. They still have not trusted anyone outside of Campaign, Miles McBride, and Precious Achiuwa off the bench. And I believe whether it's via trade or one of these younger guys, Jericho Sims, Landry Shaman's not young, but the guys that they had brought in, low-cost veterans, they will develop more of a bench, and that bench will extend when a Mitchell Robinson comes, and the positional versatility of a Karl-Anthony Towns, an OG Anunoby, and a Mikal Bridges will really shine. But I look at this performance, and I think to myself, Bridges went out there and did everything he wanted. He got key defensive stops. He hit huge threes. Going with his 41 points, he had 2 blocks and 2 steals. and not to get sidetracked, but in vintage Josh Hart fashion, played 40-plus minutes. And what does he do? Comes up with the biggest 2 hustle plays of the night on that final offensive possession where he got not 1, but 2 huge offensive rebounds diving on the floor. That guy sees a ball go up, and he doesn't see another person on the court and is throwing his body against the wall to do whatever he can to get that ball. But again, I cannot tell you how happy I am. Nets fans enjoy those draft picks. I am not a Nets hater, but it is nice to hear Nets fans be quiet for once. All you did was get a bunch of late first-round picks for a guy, Mikal Bridges, and now you are shipping off the rest of the stock. And this is why the Knicks gave up those picks. Both him and Towns have shown you enough this season and have shown you the vision is there. The vision is clear. They are just as good on their best night as anyone in the league. Offensively, when they are in rhythm, all 5 starters, guys off the bench, they are impossible to stop. Now, I'm not saying they are better than the Celtics, but do I think they can compete with them if they're playing like they did tonight and previous games in the last 2 weeks? 100%. I thought coming into the season, the Celtics were the only team that frightened me. I still feel that way. And I am not trying to disrespect the Cavaliers. But until the Cavaliers show me they can do it when it matters, I will not believe in them. They got the doors blown off of them 2 years by the Knicks, 2 years ago. And last year, you could make the argument that 1 or 2 things go the other way, and the Magics are beating them in the first round. So forgive me if that feels like disrespect. But I look at the Knicks team, I think that they present defensive matchups, especially when Mitch comes back, that will hurt the length of this team. We don't realize, like, a Mikal Bridges being your, depending on where they decide to play Josh defensively, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges is a longer defender. OG Anunoby is a longer defender. Karl Anthony Towns is a very long body to add to a Mitch. So the deficiencies that Brunson has on the defensive end do not worry me, because of the 7 or so guys we've seen go out there. I'm going to just say 7. 8 if you want to include Jericho Sims, and he is included in this. Brunson is really the only one that scares me when it comes to his defensive responsibilities, and that's not why he's here. He's there to lead the team. He's there to be the point guard. At the end of the game, it's him or Towns, I feel like, that deserve the big shot. But the one thing you've seen today, and we've seen in previous games over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they also have multiple guys who are not afraid to take the big shot. Bridges showed you that today. We've seen it with OG before. Josh Hart showed you that in the playoffs last year. I do not want Josh Hart taking the last shot. Do not get me wrong. But we've shown that there's no fear on this team. And to step away from just the Bridges aspect of this, their defense as a whole has continued to grow, and you see it night in and night out. And the point totals are not what you need to focus on. What you need to focus on is when they're getting the stops when they need them. They are a high-octane, fast team, so they are never going to hold teams consistently to under 100 points. They're not that team. The game against the Raptors, I thought they played well defensively. They also played at a pace that was going to be impossible to not give up a lot of points. They have now formed one of the best duos in the NBA in Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. Maybe the guys in Boston are, there's a lot of people banged up right now. The guys in Boston I'd put ahead of them probably when they are on. But right now, this early on in the season, they are one of, if not the best duo in the NBA. You look at Cat is a legitimate MVP candidate. And I know I feel like I'm trying to sell you on the Knicks, but so many people in this market, this fan base, have found reasons to pick apart this team. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. I think it shows that a lot of people are not used to having the pressure of being a team expected to compete in the NBA. And a lot of people probably do not watch the NBA outside of the Knicks, so they don't see how other teams struggle early on. And I think it's tough to say the Knicks have struggled. But Cat is a legitimate MVP candidate. He's probably, I would have to look at the odds. I will look them up when we get to break. But 24, let's round up, 25 and 14. That's an incredible, with adding a block. That is incredible night in, night out dominance from him. Like I said, I got the exact number. It was either 18 or 19. He missed out one rebound from having 19 straight double-doubles. And then you look at OG Anunoby, and he will not win Defensive MVP or Defensive Player of the Year, because when you look at the man that played across from him tonight in Wembanyama, he will run away with that. It would be ridiculous if he didn't win the Defensive Player of the Year award this year, because you saw today he drastically impacts every single game. Not just offensively. I mean, he's a great offensive player, but defensively. And you know what I liked that the Knicks did tonight? He was hurting them on the defensive end, and the Knicks continued to attack. We saw Brunson. I thought it was a block, but Brunson forcing a goaltending. Bridges went at him. I think the one thing they did was they attacked him on the baseline with their ball handlers and forced him to play around the rim. They used the rim as like a natural pick. But OG Anunoby will be top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year. Tommy Beer 2 days ago put this out, so shout out to him. Per NBA tracking data, only 2 players have 100-plus deflections, 25 loose balls recovered this season, and OG Anunoby and Dyson Daniels. OG is the only player in the league with 100-plus deflections, 25-plus loose balls recovered, and 200-plus shot contested. It's early. Forgive me. That is impressive. And I know a lot of you don't want to get bogged down in the numbers like that, but I'm trying to show you how deep, how talented this group is. I did not get the mid and early 90s. I caught that late 90s shocking run in the strikes. Was it strike or lockout shortened season? Larry Johnson, Latrell Sprewell, to name a few. So I did not see those teams that would consistently lose to Jordan in the Eastern Conference Finals that so many people cannot let go of. And every comparison we make for a Knicks team has to be compared to them. They're not even the best Knicks team in franchise history. But this team, taking last year into account, I do not know if I've seen a better team in my lifetime. They are that talented. Offensively, it's not close. Even those best of the Melo, J.R. Smith, Amari teams did not come close to being this efficient offensively. And the defense has grown night in and night out. From the opening night against the Celtics to now, they have improved immensely. And the way I look at it is, this is a team that 2-3 years ago, we were like, they're never going to be a good offensive team. They're never going to be able to compete in the postseason with the elite squads because Tibbs is their coach. Well, now you have the best offensive team in the NBA right now, and you still have Tibbs as the head coach. So I would actually be more confident now, because now you're looking at a team that is led by a defensive coach, hard-nosed defensive coach. They embody his spirit, and they are going to improve defensively because that's what he does. If they were struggling offensively, we might be having questions about his job. But they're not. And not only are they starting to play really well in the regular season, as they sit 2 games, they're third in the Eastern Conference. They're a game and a half on the Magic, and they hold tiebreakers with them. They're 2 games back in the Celtics. So not only are they starting to play great in the regular season, this team is built for the postseason. 888-808-1019. So I sit here again saying that if they show you what they showed tonight, the grit, the toughness, the resiliency to keep bouncing back. Mikal Bridges was on. Towns and Brunson were on. This is what we wanted. And yes, I know Brunson shot poorly, inefficiently from the floor, but he did so much more than just his offensive game tonight. That's what I mean by he was on. Josh Hart, 12 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. That's just another night for Josh Hart in the NBA. This team can compete with anyone. There's not a single team in the NBA that if they're playing their best, they cannot compete with. They are a legitimate title contender. And in the Eastern Conference, I would love to see the Celtics in the postseason. I'd love to see the Magic. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'd love to see the Celtics. They're the defending NBA champions. They shoot the lights out. Yes, they're having, I guess you could say, a hiccup with their 2 straight losses, 6 of 4 in their last 10. And another thing that came to mind today, watching this game, also when I watched them play the Raptors earlier in the week, was the notion that so many people, which I don't understand how you could come away from what I've seen this year and make this. Maybe it's because you don't have iHeart or Dante DiVincenzo. So there's an unconscious bias there to say that they are more gritty or tough. This team is, Josh Hart is the epitome of toughness in the NBA. OG Anunoby is one of the more physical players in the NBA. So whatever straws you're grasping at to make a negative of this team, if it's something you can't get over because Cat played video games 6 years ago and Jimmy Butler sold you this bill of goods that he was the only guy in the NBA working hard, Karl-Anthony Towns looks like a tough player every night to me. No, he's not a defensive first player. We didn't trade for him for his defense. He's also not a liability. When Mitch comes back, his deficiencies will be masked. And they're not paying Mitchell Robinson $45 million to do that like the Timberwolves were with Rudy Gobert. So I sit here, and this team has everything. The only thing I would like them to do, and it is a modern game, and a lot of you are going to moan, and we'll get into it later, NBA versus NFL on Christmas, because one of the products looked pristine today, and one of them laid a giant dud outside of Beyonce. But you'll all cry when I say this. The only thing I'd like to see is the Knicks take threes a little bit more. Because when it hurts them is because they are taking the smart shot, but they are not keeping up. The nights that they lose is always because someone outshot them from the three-point arc. They're never going to lose because they lost the rebounding battle, because that rarely happens. They're never going to lose because they get out-hustled. They never get out-hustled. You guys can make it up in your head. Outside of the New York market, people do not view the Knicks as a finesse team. But they have everything. They shoot the ball well from 3. They shoot the ball well in the paint. They do have I know it's not popular to do this. They do have mid-range shots. Brunson and Bridges specifically feels like they're always getting to their spot. They always have those little turnaround mid-range shots that are, whether it's Brunson's turnaround or the fadeaway from Bridges, those are their bread and butter. They have the talent, the top-end talent, the superstar talent you need to compete in this league. They have the grittiness, the toughness. I just combined grit and toughness in that one word. You know, I'm ahead of my time. They every intangible you want from your team, they have. They play together. They have multiple guys who are able to take over games. They crash the boards. They play good defense. They are offensively the best team in the NBA. And tonight, I never felt like they went through a stretch where they weren't playing well. It just felt like every time they went on a good stretch, Wembanyama went out there and absolutely embarrassed them. And he does that a lot. I didn't have any questions or concerns about him. I did not think he would mature this quickly into the player he's been. And it stinks that he had to run into Mikal Bridges on Christmas Day and ruin his historic night. I don't know what the exact number was, but I think he had like the third most points for a Christmas Day debut. Bernard King still holds the record. I forget if it's 60 or 61. I did think it was funny. They cut to him on the sidelines, knee-deep in his phone, as they're showing the stats. And side note, I'm not getting off topic about this. The Knicks fan that is getting upset that Wemby was highlighted today. After we went through multiple games last year, we went through a playoff series where they made Game 7 all about the Knicks. It's okay, relax. We're not always going to lead the story. And this guy is slowly going to become the face of the league. So I understand what ESPN is doing. My problems with the ESPN broadcast did not happen during the Knicks game. It happened during the Sixers game. And again, we will get into that. Well, obviously, everything is on the boards. We'll get into, Mets, Jets, Giants, the draft, Yankees, the NFL and NBA on Christmas. A lot of thoughts there. And as always, even though I wrote off the Christmas holiday, I would love to hear what you guys were eating. I live vicariously through all of you and your meals. What did you watch? What did you listen to on this Christmas/Hanukkah season? But the Knicks came out, kicked off an awesome NBA slate with a win that I did not see coming. Like I said a little earlier, I think it was either 6-8 minutes, something like that, when they went down 9 points, and I'm sitting there, and I look at my girlfriend, and I go, they're not winning this game. Wembanyama had just hit a three-pointer right in the face. It was either Bridges or OG, right in their face, and I was like, there's no way they're winning this game. And I was wrong. And they from that moment on, I did the reverse bush. From that moment on, they stormed back. And it came from offensively, it was Bridges most of the time, leading the way, doing the job. OG had a couple big shots. Jalen had a big shot. Towns had a big shot. You saw at moments where Precious was in there in big critical moments. And that's just the way Tibbs manages the rotation. Sometimes I think he loses himself in the moment and forgets to make subs. He's so involved on what's going on the court. How many times have we seen that? Like, hey, dude, call a timeout. They're going on a run. You got guys on the bench that could do something here. I've learned to love Tibbs' flaws because he has done such a phenomenal job. But everyone stepped up today. Everyone did their job. And they did this on a night where they were able to. Towns played less minutes than Miles McBride did. To me, that's a positive. We always hear about, they play too much, they play too much, they play too much. I don't really care about that. They're either getting hurt or not. It doesn't matter. Look how many times Embiid gets put on a minutes restriction and he misses 60 games. Leonard can't get on the court. Bridges, 43 minutes of excellence. Josh Hart, 38 minutes of grinding. And it was such a perfect cherry on top that the way they won this game, the way they finished it on the final possession, was Josh Hart diving on the floor twice. Well, one of them was kind of like he tripped onto the floor. But throwing his body on the line to get two big boards. And he is not afraid of anyone. I think it's very underrated when you look at what Hart, OG, and McBride bring to you on like the dirty plays, on the gritty, little things that you need to win NBA games. McBride, excellent defender, specifically at the point of attack. OG, all-world defender, and Josh Hart, all-world hustle. He is not the best player. He is not one of their four best players. He is the symbol of this team, though. He is the guy you think of when you think of what this team embodies. And he went out there, put his body on the line to seal the victory. After Mikal Bridges carried the weight offensively. Very efficient offensively. 68% from the field, 67% from three. They also shot their free throws well tonight. 2 missed free throws. Unheard of for this bunch. They are one of the worst I don't know statistically. I'm saying that. I'm pulling that one out of my rear end. But they are one of the worst free throw shooters teams, in my opinion, in the league. Tonight, not an issue. But they went out there and won it their way, and it was a grind. This is a game that they're going to learn from, they're tested from. As the Spurs will go to the Barclays Center, I think tonight or Friday night, I can't remember, and they will get their comeuppance. The Knicks go to Orlando next, who they've shown the ability to beat, a great defensive team. And then they get a little bit of a lull heading into the New Year's. Back-to-back games in Washington, and then home at Utah. Home versus Utah, not at Utah. So they're going to build on this. I would be very shocked if they don't go 4-0 or 3-1 in these next 4 games. The Wizards are the worst team in the NBA. I don't care what the records say. I don't even have to look at it to tell you they are the worst team in the NBA. Oh, statistically, they are the worst team in the NBA. And they don't even have an excuse like the Pelicans do. They don't have any major injuries. They're not even in rebuild mode yet. They're in complete bottoming out mode. So the Knicks go from here to Orlando, then 2 with Washington on the road, before finishing up New Year's Day against the Jazz. And if you remember, I do because I was there last year, New Year's Day was significant for multiple reasons. It was OG Anunoby's first game. They happened to be playing the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the guy who showed up in that game, Karl Anthony Towns. And that was the start of when people really started to believe in this team. And this Knicks team is far ahead what they were last year at this point. And we haven't even really seen them hit their drive, step on the pedal, and eventually get Mitchell Robinson back. And I'm not saying Mitchell Robinson's going to be the thing that puts him over the top. He's going to be a nice piece. 888-808-1019. So much to get to. We'll stick with the Knicks, obviously. Everything is on the table. Right now, we're focused more on the Knicks. Later in the show, I'll get into my thoughts on the terrible NFL slate today and an amazing NBA slate and how the two are going to be perceived by the national media going forward. One has a product problem, supposedly. The other one does not. The other one is full of greed, and the other's the NBA. We'll talk Mets. We'll talk Yankees. We'll get into the Jets and the Giants. I would like to see, going forward, Giant fans, Jet fans, you're picking in the top 10. Giant fans, you're probably going to be picking 1 or 2. Who do you want? Giant fans, you want Cam Ward, that is, from Miami? You want Shedeur Sanders from Colorado? Do you want something else? I want to hear from you. Jet fans, what would you like to see your team do going forward? Quarterback, do you want Rodgers back? What do you want to see what them do with the overall team? Who do you want the head coach to be? All that on the Fan. Anthony Gallo, I got you till 6 a.m. You can always call us on 888-808-1019. You can hit us up on the WFAN socials, or you can always hit my socials at Pico de Gallo on X and Pico de Gallo 24 on IG. All that after the break.